actually said this many a time. तो जिन्होंने सुना है बोर मत होना. I normally play people. I don't play roles. So अक्सर क्या होता है कि जब हम बोलते हैं कि हम कॉप का रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं, तो आपने देखा होगा कि एक ज़माने में दायां हाथ बायां हाथ सामने करके दायां हाथ से लकड़ी मारते हैं और बोलते हैं कि 19 तारीख की रात को तुम कहाँ थे, है ना? तो वो कॉप का रोल हो गया. बट आई नॉर्मली प्ले पीपल. सो no two persons are the same in this world. There can be a limited number of roles. There can be 25,000 roles, for example, a cop, a professor, lawyer, whatever. But each person is different. So I tend to play that person more than the role. So if I played a cop before, I've played that person. So once upon a time, Rakesh Maria is different from a Ismail Qadiri, who is different from a Mansoor Dalal in Farzi. So I tend to play people, so automatically it becomes different.
First of all, thank you so much for this. Good afternoon, everyone who's present here. Thank you for being here. I think when the script came to me, when Shujat sir sat down with me and started sharing about what the show is all about, honestly, as an actor, I was shitting bricks. I didn't know if I had the capability to pull this off. But the fact was, what really excited me was the fact that this guy came from hunger and took those ladders to finally come to a position of power. That, I think, was something which really excited me. The whole journey of how they traverse and he becomes what he becomes. Yes, he is a gangster. He has his own consequences for the actions that he takes. But the internal story, the story of the family, the relationships, those were the things that really made me feel that this is going to be an immersive experience. And I'm just glad I'm a part of it. I got a chance to play this guy who's apparently Bambai ka naya badshah. Feels pretty cool, right?
The show Bambai MeriJaan is about, focuses on these strong male characters, but believe me, the women in the show are also very strong and powerful. And like you said, I mean, a badass character is very delicious. Ask any actor, it's the most fun to play. And this is the first time I am playing something, a character that's doing these badass things. And that's what made it most exciting for me, actually, because I'm the good girl always. So thank you, Shujat sir, for seeing the bad in me and, thinking of me and, making me a part of this epic saga.
Yes, hello, namaste everyone. First of all, I'd like to say, Sakina, when she happened to me, I wasn't prepared for Sakina to happen to me. But when she did, I'm so glad that Sakina happened. And thank you, Shujat, for having faith in me as Sakina. Sakina, can I say something? When the script came to me, I think I briefly had mentioned to Shujat, but my take when the script came to me, I thought it's a love story. Backdrop में सब कुछ चल रहा है, गुंडागर्दी, मार पिटाई, everything, but primarily it's a love story. It is. So Sakina is the one who, जिसके लिए family बहुत important है, her love for her husband, her love for her son. The whole thing is for her family, her house, everything is what Sakina's world is all about. What's happening outside is just maybe a byproduct of what's happening in the house for her, Sakina. So for me, I just looked at it as a beautiful love story. पहले तो मैं ये बोल दूँ कि me becoming Sakina, I don't know if I could have been a better or a worse Sakina based on who my screen husband is going to be. But yes, having said that, having KK as my co-actor has of course been bonus. And we have worked long time back, like earlier, but to work together after like really long time, it's been great. And to have someone who is so invested in the story, not only in his character, but the larger picture, it's always a bonus. And of course, since KK was there, I was trying to impress him a bit. So I think I must have done a job somewhere where these Shujata and KK team is happy. Yeah, it was great.
So my character's name is Pari, and I think she's sort of grown up with the entire family in her own way, and she has a very special connection with Dara. And I think through that connection, you see a very different side of Dara. And I think she brings a very sweet innocence to that relationship, and I just think it's very beautiful how it pans out in the end. So yeah, it's a sweet little connection.
Well, yeah, the very interesting anecdotes to everyone's casting, actually. Avinash, I think, suffered a lot because before I locked onto him, there was an 8-month period while I was flirting with other actors. But there's something that I saw in his screen test that he did, which always remained with me, and I just could not shirk that off. And I thought he would be the perfect guy, because there were many auditions and there were lots of actors that, of course, we auditioned for the part. There was something that was special. I could never put my finger on it, but I knew that he would be the guy. And of course, with Renzel, discussions with Renzel in terms of the character and the development, and when we sat through that, it really worked out fantastically. Interesting one about KK as well is that I had initially approached him for another character for the show, and he read the script and he said, "I want to come and meet you," and I said, "Of course." Another interesting thing that KK and I have been trying to work for the last 20 odd years, but it has never gone through, and I was really, really desperate to work with him on this one. And he met me and he said, "What about Ismail's character? Have you cast it for him?" I said, "No, not yet." So he's like, I would be really kind of keen, and I thought that was fantastic of him, because the character has multiple shades. It's not a very black and white narrative that Renzel and the writers have put together. It plays in the gray areas. What is really interesting is that we have stripped people of the labels of relationship and treated them as individuals. So it is a man versus man, not necessarily a father versus father. So the power dynamics really kind of change. It so happens to be about providing. The one who provides becomes, the alpha of the family, and how those dynamics change between two men, and the repercussions that the family as well as the city on a macro level has to suffer. So that is what it's about. Pari, of course, was fantastic because we wanted to cast a
You made me
Parsi
audition
girl.
3 times.
Yes.
3 times.
Yes, we did. And Nivedita's wonderful. She's a great theatre actor, and we thought, and I saw her audition, and I knew that she would be, because there was a very specific kind of language that everyone needed to speak to transport into the authenticity of the world in terms of the community as well. Kritika was the last one to come on board, and this was post the first wave of COVID. And I must say, I've really been fortunate and blessed to have the entire cast, not just the ones who are sitting on stage, also the ones who are sitting in the audience and who are not here. I think each one of them, Abbas Dalal, who worked on the body language workshops, how they would walk, how they would sit, also in terms of the language. So there was a really tight brief given to everyone that you are the hero of your story. So let's not try and outdo each other, although yes, I'm sure the actors would want to impress KK. But each one has done a magnificent job. I think once you all watch the series, you'll understand the dynamics of it.
Well, I think when Shujat is quite a taskmaster. He looks very serene and calm right now in this denim jacket, but he's quite a taskmaster. And he doesn't settle on things easily, and I like that about him. I really think and I keep telling him, you shot this like a dream. And he's not one to take the easy way out. So everyone on this stage really has reached this stage. I mean, they're obviously brilliant actors, but I think it was painstakingly done, this period of choice, and I think it's paid off in spades.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Ritesh and Kasim, my next question is for you. The show, as from the start we're saying that it will be presented in over 30 languages all over the world. What are the expectations and how do you feel about that?
As a genre, crime drama, gangster stories, they cut across the aspect. We've all grown up on various crime story in various different languages. We were very confident when we were making this that it's going to sort of cut across Indian diaspora and go far and wide. Amazon Prime has been great partners, and they're sort of leaving no stone unturned to put this out there in a big way. And thanks to the entire team.
Thank you. Ritesh?
Yeah, like, I think what Amazon has managed to do is this time, I think the language, dubbing it in so many languages, I think because there is, it's not that every show lends itself. I think like Kasim said, Aparna earlier, that it's just the genre goes and sits in the forefront of what people like consuming in the format we are in. And if it has a possibility, which we all believe, that it can go out of the diaspora. And I think with what happens is with language also, there are a lot of people sometimes with the subtitles don't get into it. There are a section. So I think they are even now going within those 240 countries to try to get in that audience. Maybe they would not want to. I'm sure it's subtitled in a lot of languages as well. So I think it gives it. And if you have I think what happens is you have an opportunity with an amazing story like this, written by Hussain Saab, who's here, and you have such amazing actors. So you have an opportunity of taking your talent both in front and behind the camera and showcasing it to a global audience. So I think, yeah, my expectation is after the 14th in 1 week, Aparna calls me up and says, Ritesh, do season 2 and 3 immediately. That's the plan.
I think one of the high points of this show is and I think that's where the genesis of the name also comes. When you say Bambai MeriJaan, is that it's not just a crime thriller, it's also chronicling the rise of the city and hence the organized crime within the city. So as the city kind of sprawled out through the decades, so did, these fiefdoms, these gangs. You see the turf wars between them, and finally you reach the point after the 60s and the 70s to the 80s where you actually have the beginnings of what you can now call organized crime. So I think the world building, a lot of it is, while it's a fictional show, a lot of it is also in the public domain. And I think people like Shujat and me are Bombay boys. We've heard this as we've been growing up, right? We've heard the stories about these gangsters. We've heard the story about the underbelly. And so when we create this piece, this fictional piece, I think the world building is something we've lived with. So it comes easily to us. And also there is then, a lot of crime reportage that you can delve into and, use to kind of build the building blocks of this world. As far as these characters and the look of these characters go, I think Shujat is actually a better person to ask about this.
Yeah. In terms of creating the visual world, there was extreme amount of detailing for sure, because we wanted to transport the audience to believe that it is happening during that era. That was really essential. The genesis of it, of course, came from Hussain Zaidi Saab, whose story, commendable journalist he is and what a career he's had. But the visual world coming together was very painstakingly intricate. My production designer, Nitin Gaikwad, my costumier, Ziba Mirai, the hair, makeup, specialist, Melanie D'Souza, everyone to come together to make it feel like it is from that era and not to act out. I have a huge problem in that sense, purely as a viewer. For period pieces, I see also actors acting period. I don't know, that's strange. We did a lot of extensive workshops with everyone in terms of, body language and the language, spoken language. So we wanted it to feel organic, that these guys are not aliens in the 60s, and they're not like really different from what we are right now. So the emotions ride in the same way. A lot of research of 60s, 70s Bombay. Also a mammoth set, as I mentioned, which was put up because to shoot period, Mumbai is not the most friendly. Raspy 70s jazz number, beautifully penned by Varun Grover, the lyrics of it. We have a lot of music in the show as well, in terms of background score and songs put in. We've got some interesting Konkani numbers as well coming in because Mumbai being the hot pot of different cultures and people coming from all over. So we wanted to address that, and it was definitely a conscious decision in terms of creating the world. And music did play a great part, and Salvage Audio Collective.
I think it's a partnership that, as you rightly pointed out, started off as the first chapters of Prime Video itself were starting off in the country with Inside Edge, and I think it's worked brilliantly well for the simple reason that I think we share a passion for extremely diverse storytelling. So you look at Inside Edge, you look at Mirzapur, you look at Made in Heaven and everything. And at the same time, we share an incredibly deep passion for authentic, rooted storytelling. So, I think the combination of these two has made us, as you are trying to now popularize the phrase partners in crime. And where does it go from here? I think, and I was saying this earlier, I think we have seen an entire renaissance of Indian stories on the global stage. And I think the work that we've been able to do with Excel, more recently, the likes of The Heart, the likes of Made in Heaven, and now with Bambai MeriJaan, I think the world is our oyster. I think there are some phenomenal stories that this relationship and this partnership is going to bring to life.